Welcome into the Speeding in the Pits podcast. I'm your host, Wyatt Williams, and your other host, Connor Klon Huberty. And if you enjoy talking left turns and fast cars, you're in the right place because that's what we do, says Austin Schindler. So that's mine and Connor's mutual friend who had connected us and started this podcast. Austin told me today that I needed to start the show out with, if you're into left turns and fast cars, you're in the right place. And I was like, you know what, Austin? That's a good intro. So
that's probably the most creative thing he's ever said. That might be it.
Exactly. But
props
yeah,
to him.
I promised him I would do it. So there you go, Austin. Shout out you. I promised I'd do it. We did it. We are officially done with the NASCAR season. Phoenix wrapped up. We've got a champ. We got 3 champs, actually. We've got to talk about a lot of stuff today, Klon. All kinds of stuff. There was a wreck involving the pace car, which when talking about racing, there's a lot of wrecks. It's bound to happen. You got fast cars on a track, they're going to wreck. But when you've got the car that is out there because of wrecks and they wreck, it's a sticky situation. So we'll dive into that.
Have that. Yeah.
No, that's not, usually. And of course, it happened during the championship race. If there's any race that's going to be affected by a pace car, it's the most important one of the season. Of course. Like, why wouldn't it be? We've got Martin Truex Jr. retiring. We're going to talk about some hot topics we've seen on Twitter as well. SHR officially is closed down. There were some weird situations with that. We'll break that down. Schedule release for next year. I mean, I could go on forever. We've got so many topics to go over. But at the end, the one thing I do want to say here, at the end, we've got our yearly season recap award segment. We are going to give our awards for the top 3 moments of the year in NASCAR. It can be Cup, Xfinity, or Truck. It doesn't matter. We're also going to talk about the best burnout of the year. We're going to go over the Atlanta and Kansas finish. We had 2 finishes that were ridiculously close. Which one was better? We got Rookie of the Year, Most Valuable Driver, and we're going to make a way too early pick for the 2025 champ. Connor, are you ready for this, man? We got a crazy big show today. I'm trying to keep it moving. Exactly. I'm trying to keep it moving as quick as I can through this intro here so we can jump right into it. But anyways, this weekend, Phoenix, of course, we crowned a champ in all 3 divisions. Joey Logano wins for the Cup Series. Justin Allgaier finally gets his championship there in the Xfinity Series, which was huge. And Ty Majeski, the Cinderella story, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the ultimate short track dream story. It's very cool. Really? So yeah, we'll break it all down. Majeski won as well in the Truck Series, like I said there. But we'll start with Joey Logano and the Cup Series race. What was your I don't even know. What was your reaction to the Cup Series race?
It's exactly what we thought, right? I mean, I think you had joked about it on our last episode last week, that, or even before that, like this was a possibility, and this was lurking in the background of, I think, everybody's predictions. But we unfortunately got that outcome. I mean, congratulations to Joey. Obviously, they don't hand out championships for nothing, but
they do not.
Maybe that's a conversation for another time. But like, he still did what he had to do to get the job done. And I mean, a 3-time champion, like we said, like that's can't take that away. But yeah, it's a deeper conversation.
3,000 drivers have taken a green flag in NASCAR, Klon. 10 of them have won more than 2 championships. Yeah. He is in upper echelon categories at this point.
Right. And exactly that. Like, I think we talked about this last week, or the conversation at least kind of tiptoed around this. But at this point, as fans, like, you kind of have to count him the same. And I mean, he's a 3-time champ. I know the format's changed a bunch, and we can talk about that until we're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, I mean, he took the trophy home. The system was the same for everybody, I think, is the argument you would try to make. But yeah, 3-time champ. It's crazy to think that we got another one through what the chaos is of the playoffs. It still produces, your cream does still rise to the top in this case. And I mean, Joey took advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, they just They just play the format perfectly.
Yep.
There's no other way to put it. And we'll revisit some things going on Twitter after this about the whole situation. A lot of people were very upset. Like I told you, Klon, I just had a feeling they had 3 weeks to prepare for this race. And what would be more cherry on the top 2024 NASCAR season than Joey Logano being the champ? It just made perfect sense, and that was the ending we got. The Xfinity race was wildly entertaining. I mean, Justin Allgaier, from the moment that they had parked the truck at Phoenix, had every ounce of pushback from the racing gods. I mean, it was just like there were external factors. I mean, he wrecks during practice. They have to go to the backup vehicle after their original vehicle looked pretty fast. I mean, granted, he was only out there for like 4 laps, wasn't it? And then he wrecks. Then he has to serve a penalty during the race. He comes in and speeds while serving the penalty. So now they're really in trouble. They somehow find a way to get back and win it. And so hats off to the whole Dale Junior Motorsports and that 7 team for being able to rally the troops there, man. It did not look good. There was several moments there where it looked like they had seen greener pastures.
Well, and the thing to it that I find ironic is here's the guy last year, Justin Allgaier, in 2023 that was, I mean, early in the race, but pretty much driving away with the thing, backed it into the fence in Phoenix, and was going to be the champion, just running away with it. And I guess running away with it's being a little generous, but was winning the race anyway. So
he was controlling the race. That's exactly what it was.
I mean, and that's just racing in a nutshell. Like, you can have what looks like the best weekend of your life coming into the race and even starting the race, and then it all falls apart, where Justin in this case had what maybe was one of his worst weekends of his racing career coming into it and ends up winning the thing. So you just never know. And credit to your really good teams and your really good drivers, like that 7 team is from the Xfinity Series. Those guys have been great for a long time. So I couldn't be happier. Like, out of the 3 champions, and we'll talk about them all, like, this one might be the one that I was most happy about. It just feels like Justin's had this coming for a long time. It's just been a matter of time to actually get that done.
Yeah, I mean, he's the Denny Hamlin of Xfinity Series. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So the adversity from that whole 7 team throughout the whole weekend, the way that they were able to continue to pivot, continue to move, and give themselves a shot is just crazy. I mean, especially with how poorly that weekend could have gone for them. I mean, like I said, from the moment that they got the car off of the truck and got it on the track for practice, you know what hit the fan. Like, it was bad from the start, and they were able to push through. But you were talking about a dominating race last year for Justin Allgaier. That's really what we saw this year in the Truck Series. Ty Majeski really just kind of ran away with that. I mean, yeah, there were moments where, he had gotten overtaken or had lost the lead and stuff during, green flag pit runs and everything like that. And, Corey Heim made a ridiculous drive through the field and kept getting cautions that fell perfectly in his way. But, man, Ty Majeski, what a cool story. The guy's a short track legend up here in Wisconsin. He gets his opportunity a couple of years ago, and it just didn't work out. And pretty much went on to Thor Sport as an engineer and was hoping to run a couple of races for him. He does good in those races. They give him a full-time gig, and now he's a NASCAR champion. Holy cow, Klon. What a Cinderella story.
And I hate to say what I did about Justin, like a guy, a situation with the Xfinity Series that, we are super pumped about. Ty, same thing. Like, guy for a long time that's just really never gotten off on the right foot, it feels like, in any situation. But the last couple of years here in the Truck Series, it feels like it's definitely shifted a little bit, and obviously winning the championship. But I mean, from an outsider's perspective, if you take a step back from the Truck Series, it would be shocking to think that Corey Heim didn't win the championship. So the fact that, Ty was good enough and his team to get that done, hats off to them, man. That's pretty impressive. And then, like you said, in the fashion they did it too this weekend, like that wasn't just a handout freebie. They went out there and they took it from them.
No, they ripped it right out of their hands and just ran away with it. It wasn't even fair. But you were talking about hats off. I give my hats off to Corey Heim and that 11 team. I mean,
True.
even while Majeski had the far better car for the day, he continued to push his equipment far past what I thought it was capable of. I mean, they had the whole issue where they had to go to the back of the pack. He drove right back up to the front. I mean, it was this kid. We talk a lot about young NASCAR young stars who, we don't want to give them that cup opportunity too soon to let them develop and everything like that. When this guy is done developing and ready, I truly do think we're looking at a Cup Series champion right now. Corey Heim is wildly just I don't even know how to explain it. He's an incredible race car driver. That's the only thing I can say. He's just incredible at what he does, and he's going to be around our sport for a very long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I know there's a lot of people up in arms about him, and this conversation will carry into the offseason about renewing with the trucks, or not renewing necessarily, but the opportunity seemingly he was offered is to stay in the Truck Series, which feels counterintuitive to what everybody else has been doing. But to yours and myself's point along, this podcast so far is guys like him. It's good to take your time and come up to the Cup Series after years of experience. And I think that's what Corey's getting here. And I mean, he's obviously proven he can win at that level. There's no question about it, but there's nothing wrong with another year. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I have no problem. I know Corey probably wishes he was in Cup next year already, and he's run at least one Cup race already. Like, the day is coming, and it's not necessarily next year to go full time, and it might not be 2026 either. But like you said, the day is coming. He's going to get to Cup, and when he gets there, we're going to have a hard time getting him out of there. Like, he's going to win. He's going to be around for a long time. Absolutely. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, Corey Heim's just going to be one of those names we hear for a while. But going back to the Cup Series race, Xfinity went through Truck. Man, that Cup Series race was crazy. Like we had talked about him earlier, the pace car situation, that was so funny. I mean,
I know.
It's perfect. I was listening to Denny's podcast, and he was talking about how he said he just had to have been not paying attention, just in his own world, and then he notices, oh crap, I have to exit now. And it's like, just, brother, reach up and hit that switch, pow, let's do one more lap. Like, that's not
right.
red flag the championship race.
Yeah,
because he's running over barrels.
So I have a couple things with that, and Phoenix is a perfect example of all this. The first thing I have is, you watch it on TV, you watch it in person. It doesn't matter where you see it, but your eyes aren't deceiving you if you're watching it on TV. The pace car waits an obnoxiously long amount of time to pull off in front of the field to go down pit road. I've seen it at a few different tracks now in person. I've seen it and there's no way it's lying to you on TV either. Why are we waiting so long? Particularly at Phoenix, too, of all places, where the restart zone is half of the track away from where you are.
It's literally half of the entire track. You have a half mile.
You're not surprising anybody by pulling off pit road. Like, oh, got him. Look at this quick one here. Like, we knew you could have pulled off through 1 and 2. You could have been on the apron already. We all knew you were getting off the track. Why do they wait so long? I don't even know who was driving the pace car at that point. It doesn't really matter. It's been that way forever. I don't understand why they wait so long. Just pull off. We all know you're not taking the green flag with everybody. You're not shocking everyone. Just get off the track. Like, I don't know.
There for a second, I thought he was going to take the green flag with him.
I think he damn near wanted to, and just decided last minute he probably shouldn't, because he actually likes his job. But compounding issues here. It does drive me nuts.
He saw the win and in system, and he's like, if I win this race, I win the championship. That's what it is.
In all 36, so I mean, in theory, he's probably in the playoffs, according to what some people's systems would be. So might as well just run it out. Yeah, go ahead. But yeah, just I mean, you have to laugh, right? Like, I mean, what else can you do? But it does drive me nuts. Every pace car driver I've ever seen, they wait an ungodly amount of time to pull off. like literally as long as they possibly can to pull off and go down pit road. Like just pull off. You don't have to wait.
What are we waiting for here, brother?
Yeah,
get off the
it doesn't
track.
Matter. They can't go till the restart zone anyway. So like, there's no reason. Right. There's no reason to pretend. It's stupid.
It's funny you bring that up. I never thought about that, but it's true. They really do hang around sometimes for a while, and then you'll like see them, and they'll just dive off really fast.
They do genuinely.
They do that.
Yeah,
I did not even think about that.
Split second. It looks like they're almost making a mistake by pulling off. Like it looks weird. It's dumb. I don't get it.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. But Ryan Blaney, your championship pick for last week, and if Kyle Larson isn't Kyle Larson, I think you were right for the championship. I mean, what a run. Like 2 weeks in a row, we saw the 12 car just eviscerate a gap between him and the leader and just climb his way through the pack, through lap cars, and get to where he needs to be to win the race. And I will say it right now, if that is not the 22 or the 2, but the 2 wouldn't have been there. It's a championship race. If that was not a Penske car, that 22 is moved out of the way. 100%. Yeah. I don't even think like this is a manufacturer thing either. If it was another Ford, I think if it was Brad Keselowski, if it was, whoever, if it was an SHR driver, like if Chase Briscoe were to have made it, that Ford gets moved. But because it was Joey, because it was his teammate, he had to race fair. And like, I understand it, but if that was anybody else, they're gone. He sends them.
Probably. Yeah, I was watching that live. I was worried he was going to, because I genuinely thought there was not only a chance that it doesn't work, but you also run the risk of wrecking yourself there too. And just don't want to ruin your whole day. But
imagine you wreck yourself and your teammate, and then you got to go talk to Roger.
Exactly.
Hey, sir, sorry, I wrecked both of your championship cars. And we're Ford, Chevy, and Hendrick, our rivals, won. So, yikes.
I mean, exactly. But that was what was running through my head those last couple of laps there. He's probably putting.
Did you think he was going to do it?
No, I never thought
really
he would. But I was only concerned about what the worst case scenario would be, like if he would. I didn't expect him to. I didn't think Ryan of all people would. I think that guy. I think all the Penske guys do, and there's a lot of NASCAR guys in general that play the team system really well, but I think Ryan exceptionally does that, and definitely always keeps things in perspective when another Penske driver does well. I mean, even if you go back to Daytona in 2022 when Cindric won it, and Ryan definitely should have been the car that won it that day. I mean, he's been like this for a long time, and I think that's just who he is. So I just kind of showed again.
He really is. He really is a class act. What I was saying though, like, did you think he was going to win it? Not wreck Logano. Did you think when that run started, did you think he was going to pass him? Or I guess I should say, at what point, if you did, at what point did you?
I thought he was going to win it about halfway through the race. I told you he'd gotten it done, and then just that late caution there with whatever that was, 40. I don't remember how many laps were left there, 40 or 34 or something like that. But
where the 24 made the call out.
Yeah, where they pit early for something. It just always seems to happen that way, where Hendrick gets something off pit road, where they're in Phoenix. It's the only way they really stay relevant, is either racing off pit road or they get a late caution of any kind. So,
you know what I just thought about? The car that you're right. that car that spun out, that was Zane Smith, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
That's not. Yeah.
That's a Spire car who is in an alliance with Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started with all this crap. But I mean, I didn't even think about that.
It's too easy.
Nobody said a word about that. We're recording all the way on Thursday this week. We're days removed from this.
I just thought of that. I've listened to the Harvick Happy Pod. I have listened to Denny's podcast. I listened to the Teardown. And nobody said that. I just realized that was a Spire car that just overdrove the corner, back flies out, and bang, hits the wall.
Yeah, I'd have an easier time if it was a more established driver buying into the conspiracy, because Zane is definitely a guy that's still trying. I mean, he doesn't even have a ride for next year, so backing it
Right.
into the fence on the last race of the year is probably not exactly the way to convince people. But I like Zane. I think he's got a future in the sport if he can hopefully land on his feet here somewhere in the next 2-3 months. But
I'm
yeah,
sure he will. That
but
makes
I mean, we're in the world of asking questions, and we got to ask
we
tough
are.
ones sometimes. So
We have to. Like this question. And
oh boy,
I have a very strong opinion on this, and I'll answer it. I'll let you go first.
okay.
Is
I
this
don't like
Joey
going
Logano
first here.
championship a Mickey Mouse championship?
I mean, if you say this one's Mickey Mouse, you got to say most under this current format since 20 what? How we've talked about this till no end. How long I've been doing the 2018 or 19 or whatever. Like
The
is it
championship 4 has
the
been going
the
since 2014.
the walk off? Oh, it's been that long. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
because
Never wrote
Harvick
that
won the
down.
first one, right? When
Yeah,
they,
I'm trying to think of this last system where it was like the win and automatic advance fun stuff we've been doing, but
oh yeah,
I think it's
that
been about 2019. So if you're
yeah
gonna say his is Mickey Mouse, out of the 6 or 7, my math sucks, but out of the few we've given out, you'd have to say over 50% of them are. Um,
yeah
and that's too bad because kind of how I started the show. Like Joey's playing the system the same way everybody else is. It's unfortunate that we have to have so many questions about the system, but you got to give him credit at the same time. And yeah, it's not exactly how I want my champion crown, but at the end of the day, it's how NASCAR's crowning them. So you kind of just have to accept that and move
yeah
on. But would I like to see it done differently? Absolutely. I mean, I've made that very clear here the last 4 weeks, I think. But yeah, it's unfortunate that some people have to feel like that too. But I don't know. Mickey Mouse is tough because I mean, it doesn't take away joy racing all 36 races, winning 3 of them, winning the All Star race, like having a pretty decent year, you'd say, but championship worthy up for debate on what that term even means right now.
Here's my strong opinion on this. I agree that the playoffs need some tweaking and some changes.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I agree that Joey was not the best driver this year
Yep.
or the most deserving of a championship. Because if we talk about that, then it's Kyle Larson.
Right. And that's hard because that's exactly where that like NASCAR right now gets to define what the word champion even means.
Yeah.
You and I are coming from a background of racing fandom where that word 10, 15 years ago in our eyes meant a very different thing to what it means right now.
Very.
But can you argue with that? Like that's the gray area where it's like, who's really right and is there a right answer and is there a wrong answer? I mean, you're talking about just differing opinions really on what we consider championship or not championship. But sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
you're good. You're good. So here's my thing. Like we mentioned earlier, Joey Logano plays this system. Penske plays this system perfectly to
Yep.
be able to give their
100%.
drivers a shot to get in every year.
And they're good at the right tracks. Absolutely.
Yes, they
Schedule
are.
too, like system schedule, all of it.
Yes. Klon, do you realize, and this has been my big argument about Joey Logano not being worthy of this championship. And I do agree there are guys that are more worthy, but here's my thing. Do you realize that Joey Logano is one Austin Dillon Demolition Derby away from visiting Victory Lane the same amount of times this year that Kyle Larson did?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the interesting thing is then you kind of open the can of worms of you get into the numbers. Like you said, if we're going to sit here and talk wins, which that's what the system really promotes
Feeds
and,
off of.
and and incentivizes is winning races. Does it really matter what your average finish is at the end of the day? Like, are we all just trained to be traditional race fans from decades ago, looking at the numbers incorrectly? And is that wrong? Is that right? Like, that's the thing. Is Joey's year that bad? 4 wins probably tells you no, but running what was it, 15th or whatever on the year, best finish
I
position or
think
points or
after
whatever.
after winning the final race and after his win at Vegas, I think he finished at 12th on the year for points,
Okay.
which
Yeah,
still
and even 12th.
is outside of the top 10. That's still a big
Exactly.
that's still a huge difference. I totally agree, but I have a problem with people calling this a Mickey Mouse championship, and I have a problem with people
Yeah.
saying that they don't view Joey as a champion. When it's like the old saying, don't hate the player, hate the game, could
Yep.
not be more true in this situation, because this is not a Joey Logano thing. They came to play the exact way that this system needs you to play to win the championship. They
Yep.
do everything to a T to give themselves a shot. As long as you can win one in the regular season and then you can heat up in the playoffs, maybe one of the rounds you have a couple of good finishes and you're able to point your way through, or the 48 car is 50 pounds too light and that's how
Yeah.
you make it through. Whatever it is,
Good point.
at the end of the day, whatever it is, if you have played the system perfectly, you're the champion. There's no Mickey Mouse or anything else like that about it. It's driving me crazy, Klon. Every time I get on Twitter,
Yeah.
that's all I see. I see Joey Logano celebrating and the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse music playing in the back.
Honestly, what would make to fit the definition of Mickey Mouse, I think that the stick and ball sports people are trying to use, because I mean, I grew up with I still am a stick and ball sports fan. Like all your other sports for you people listening that don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about baseball, I'm talking about basketball, football, hockey, golf, soccer, all of it. If you're a fan of any of that stuff, that's called. People are trying to use that term, and what truly would have made this Mickey Mouse, I feel like, is if Tyler Reddick won this race on the last lap with a Hail Melon from 15th or wherever he was. That's what makes it Mickey Mouse. Like Joey Logano was one of the best cars in the race on Sunday. Ryan Blaney was one of the best cars in the race. 24 came alive late. It's not like any of those three weren't in the right position, in the right round of the right race, meaning like this championship 4 final race for it all. They were doing exactly what they needed to do, being dominant up front all day. It wasn't like they all wrecked out and Tyler won it running 20th or passed everybody on the last lap doing something weird.
Right.
Like that's what would have taken some credibility away at that point, I think.
I wouldn't have even been like surprised if like they were racing so intensely and we're watching the 12 and the 22 and then like they head into 3 and 4 and it's just here comes Reddick, just flies around the corner, passes them both.
I actually would have been less surprised about about the outcome of that race if that's what would have happened.
Oh,
or
dude,
took a
that would have been
jump
so
over
funny.
3 and 4 and somehow just cut the whole track. Like, that wouldn't have shocked me either, but it's just
that would have been hilarious. That would have been so funny, Klon. Oh my god. They've had such a heavy focus on the 22 to 12, had no clue that the 45 snuck up and won it.
Yep.
Oh man. But he did not. But so there you go. That's my hot topic of the day. I had to get that off my chest.
And we'll talk about it as the offseason comes on.
Right.
And obviously you're not the only one. I'm not the only one that has their thoughts about what the playoffs are right now. This conversation is going to carry into next year, and they're definitely, in my opinion, needs to be something done. Like we can't keep doing it this way. And again, this is no disrespect to Joey. The guy's 3-time champ, as the numbers say. He's a Hall of Famer. Like one of the best. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago when he first got into the round of 8 or the round of 4, but like he is really good. He is one of the best drivers of the last this era of NASCAR and should be celebrated as such, but something needs to be done. Like the system is flawed, and I think that's fair for everyone to agree on.
Absolutely. It's definitely flawed. That part I am totally on board with. I totally agree, and I think that we need to have some changes. But like I said, my bone to pick with NASCAR Twitter is the Mickey Mouse thing. I just can't. I can't go with it.
I agree.
Joey, I honestly, I would say it's more impressive that they're able to do something that nobody else is and play this system perfectly to a T and go win it in this way. Like
I mean, barring a massive change to the cars or the schedule or the format, if you're not picking a Penske driver to win the championship, you're on the outside. Like I honestly think you're picking at underdog odds.
Yeah, no, and
Honestly, at this point,
how disappointed is Hendrick Motorsports right now?
oh my
Because they
gosh.
literally said that they are taking this whole time from last year until this race to build the perfect Phoenix car. And then they come there and Penske gets
Better.
3 weeks for the 22 and 1 week for the 12, and they just run circles around them. I mean, what those are two totally different cars. And I saw something, don't quote me on this, but I saw something that the reason why the Penske cars are so good is because of their steering. They're able to accelerate at a more rapid rate while turning as well with this car. There's something that the way that the frame of the Ford slash Penske car is built that they're able to turn and go faster while doing so. And that helps them a lot in lap times and stuff like that. Again, don't quote me. That could totally just be some buffoonery that I don't doubt it. It probably might even be. But,
Doesn't totally shock me either, though, if that's the case. Because if you look these last two tracks, both Martinsville and Phoenix, that's a big deal. And where Ryan, I know he didn't win the championship on Sunday, but lost to his teammate. Where Ryan Blaney was so good at both these tracks was that center off, the ability to just keep his foot in the gas and drive off the corners. So maybe there is something to that. I mean, they came out with this dark horse Mustang this year, which was supposed to make them better at the bigger tracks and give them more speed and hurt them at the short tracks. And it didn't seem to take much effect there when you look at Martinsville and Phoenix. So I don't know, maybe I was fed bad information there too, but that's if you're Chevy right now, you're scratching your head because I don't know what else you're gonna do at this point. Like that's 3 straight years with this next gen car where they've just had the maybe advantage or they just have something everybody else doesn't.
yeah, I think you got to take a long, hard look in the mirror here if you're Hendrick Motorsports. There's something that they know that you don't, and they've got to figure it out quick because if they don't, Penske's just going to keep winning championships, barring them wrecking. I mean, that is literally the only way that Penske won't win a championship is if they don't make it, which with how perfectly they play this system, that's not really that much of a possibility. I don't see the 22 and the 12 both not being in the championship for the next 3-5 years. I mean, like I
Until
just
the system, the schedule,
yeah,
or the car changes,
they
there's no
play it.
reason to think that.
Yeah, they just play it too perfectly. So I think you've gotta figure out what they're doing over there or figure out how you can better compete with them because if not, Penske's just going to keep winning championships, barring them literally wrecking each other. Like
Yep,
there's nothing else that you can do. I mean, it's
exactly.
they kill it out there. But moving on here, man, that SHR situation is weird, isn't it? With Ryan Preece. So
Yeah.
first off, SHR closing the doors. Actually, as we record this episode on Thursday night, um, SHR no longer exists. So all those guys that were there are now with their new teams. They started on Tuesday and Wednesday. All of the people at it's SHR that were transferring somewhere else started their new job on Tuesday. So, or Tuesday and Wednesday. So they're gone. Did you see the whole weird situation with, like after the race, like immediately after the race was over, SHR officials were like walking around collecting laptops, like snatching stuff from people. Like weird. It was very weird, but
I didn't see that, but that's I mean, it's just racing. It's just so weird that they there's probably something out there, and obviously it comes from somebody doing it before. Or like there's some weird, wacky story from the 80s or 90s where somebody was leaving a team and probably sold his notebook of information to another team on his way out the door or something. So teams are goofy about that stuff, man. I mean, it is such a hot commodity. They feel like even though they share information all year and certain guys share stuff all the time, but yeah, I'm sure they're trying to cover their butts as that's, intellectual property or whatever. Some law probably states they have the
Intellectual
right to it.
property. Look
Yeah.
at you, man.
I mean, yeah, it's probably something like that where they're probably worried about that, and you can't sell it, you can't share it, you can't give stuff away, and I don't know, just weird.
I don't
The
know why
whole
it matters.
thing's
It's
been weird
not
from the
like
beginning.
Haas. Right. I don't know why it matters. It's not like Haas Racing is going to be competitive. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude when I say that, but like, are we
Oh my
really
god,
going to
dude.
sit here and say that, the guy who made this team what it was, Tony Stewart, he leaves and all of a sudden, like Haas Racing is just going to pick up right where they left off? Like,
No,
they're done. They lost
no,
Rodney
yeah.
Childers. They've lost so many other incredible mechanics, engineers, crew chiefs, drivers. I mean,
They
top
have
to
to be
bottom.
fulfilling some sort of like Ford contract to get out on track, or somehow tied to like Cole Custer's dad, I think works for what did work for what was Stuart Haas. So like there has to be some sort of agreement that like this whole thing's happening in the first place, right? Like Gene Haas staying in NASCAR is odd, isn't it? Or am I
Yeah,
crazy
no,
thinking
I
that
totally agree. I thought it was very weird, and like the way that the situation played out was weird too, where like at the beginning they were closing, and that was it. Like Stuart
hmm
Haas was closing,
hmm
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were selling all their charters, and then out of nowhere, they're like, actually, Tony's just leaving, Gene is staying, and it's going to be Haas Racing again,
yeah.
but we're going to keep one charter. So, no, you're totally right. The whole situation is just kind of
Like it's a money
weird.
grab, not a money
Yeah.
grab. Like
Well, but
Tony
it's like,
wanted
what money
out,
is
but
there
they
to
sold
grab?
off.
That's the whole
Well,
lawsuit going on right now, is that there's no money for these teams. So I just
they
don't get it,
sold three
especially.
charters is their money grab
Well,
is where they
yeah,
made
I
the money.
guess,
But
yeah.
then
But they're going to spend it all this season on this one car, and
I
it's not going
know,
to win. I mean, like I'm not trying to be rude. Cole Custer is a
awesome.
great race car driver. He's awesome. He really is. Like, he's got a lot of talent, and if he were in the right car, I think it would be a different story. Like, I think if Cole Custer was in a Hendrick car, if he was in a Penske car, if he was
Yeah,
in an RFK car, like, I think he could have a lot of success. But the problem is, this Haas Racing gig, we've read this book before. It ends the same. They don't win. They don't win races.
no.
And like, why now? The whole point of Tony Stewart joining this team was to go win championships. He brought them to that. Now that he's leaving, like, things are just gonna not go back to normal because he's not
Well,
like I'll be the first to admit it next season whenever Cole Custer comes out and looks great. I'll be the first person to get on here and say, hey, I was wrong, but I just don't see it.
I think they'll be okay at some places. I mean, wherever Ford's fast. So you look at, we just talk about Phoenix, but they always
They're not winning
handle.
a race though. They're
No,
gonna
I mean,
best finish of the year will be 2 top 10s, maybe
yeah,
at a super
yeah,
speedway a
it'll
top
be the
5.
500. They'll do okay in the 500 because it just always seems to work like that. And then
Yeah,
Talladega in the fall or something, and those will be in Atlanta, maybe somewhere in there too. But I mean, they'll have
right.
speed at super speedways because that's just what Fords have right now. But no, it almost, like you kind of tied it into the Ryan Preece thing. It almost, them going to a single car deal raises more questions or gives more speculation to why Ryan Preece is so upset or seemingly upset. I know they're sweeping it under the rug,
Yeah,
but
that's the thing. What's going on with that? That's
where
so
there's smoke,
weird.
there's got to be fire. That
Has to.
those clips wouldn't exist on the radio. The pictures wouldn't be getting posted on social media without him.
No,
They posted pictures
no.
with 3 of their 4 drivers at the end of the year celebrating the closing of one of the most successful teams of the last decade. Like, they wouldn't just not include him unless it's intentional. So
It has to be intentional.
something's going on there. I mean, is it this car? Maybe he was originally promised to drive the Haas factory car, or they had another deal lined up for him, or they sold him short, or
He was the
maybe
last to leave. He did stick around for a while.
and maybe maybe
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
That and then like maybe Noah getting his deal with Front Row Motorsports is the other thing. Maybe that, or maybe uh, Josh Berry getting the Wood Brothers is the other one. You know, those guys going to Ford spots. Like maybe he was told he was getting one and now he's not, or any of that.
I
So
just didn't
I don't know.
realize the turmoil that was going on there. Like they had to have had issues going on all year, because if you listen to the audio, I think it's from Barry's car, but I could be wrong. Either way, it's from Barry, Briscoe, or Gregson. One of the three. It was from their audio, but I think it's Barry.
I think it's
Where
Josh
they're
Berry,
talking,
yeah.
they're like, "Where's the 41?" And they're like, "He's in the pits." And then the driver, I think it was Josh Berry, goes, "Yeah, go figure." Like, so this has been an ongoing issue for a while now. As you said earlier, I'll reference you. The cream just hadn't risen to the top yet, and it's here now. And
Yeah.
I don't think this is over. I think there's still more to come on this, and we're going to find out more throughout this offseason. And I think we're going to find out more when we get on the track next year. If there is a wreck between Ryan Preece and one of these three drivers, I think we could see some fireworks. I totally think we could see some fireworks.
That's exactly it. Is if it's really there and these guys are race car drivers, it's not going away. But it's still just shocking to me. Like, I don't know, man. Just can't have like a clean, quiet year in any facet of NASCAR right now. It feels like, and one of the most storied teams of the last however many years is on its way out, and we can't even execute that without ruffling major feathers. It seems like so. It's just crazy, man. Like it
is.
What else can go wrong? Honestly, like great.
Oh, I'm sure there's more.
Jeez.
Exactly. Well, great year, as you mentioned. We do look ahead to next year. The 2025 schedule was released. Anything you wanted to talk about with the schedule? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Anything you're particularly excited about? I personally, couple things. Number one, I'm excited about this Mexico City race. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Number two, Chicago Street Race is coming back again. I will not make the mistake of missing it again. Me and Nikki have already said we're going this year. Like 100%. We should go. You should go too. We should all go.
As somebody just went last year, I don't know if it'll be on the calendar, but we can try and figure it out. But
we can try and work. Okay.
I will say to anybody that has considered going, if you're listening, if you've even maybe hinted around, like you said, Wyatt, or talked about going, take advantage of it. This might not ever happen after this year because it is a 3-year deal at the city of Chicago, and this is the 3rd year, obviously, coming up. So if it happens again, who knows? If you're mildly a race fan, you'll have a great time. If you're a diehard race fan, you'll love it. Like it still does everything a race car fan would want at a racetrack. It gives you that experience still. And you're in downtown Chicago, and I've never had a bad time there. Love going to hang out there all the time. But yeah, go ahead and do it. It's a blast. If you need any recommendations, reach out. I'll give you my 2 cents here and there.
There we go.
It's a great time.
I'll have to reach out because we're 100% going. Like I said, I missed it the first year and thought, man, we should have gone. I'll go next year, and then this year we didn't go again, and I was like, man, because we went to a Cubs game like 2 weeks before the race, so we were down there, and while we were down there, we saw all the NASCAR signs, and they were putting in the grandstands, and we were like, oh man, we should have gone to this. So, like I said, we're not going to make that mistake again. We will be going this year.
You got to.
Have to experience that. Because like you said, I mean, like, if this never happens again, like, I don't want to sit here and be like, man, I didn't go to the Chicago Street Race and I live 3.5 hours from it and I could have experienced it and I didn't. So I just don't want to be mad at myself about that and not go.
Oh, so easy.
I love the fact that Daytona is the closing race of the regular season again. I'm very excited about that. Did you like that?
I do not necessarily, I guess, from a pure racing standpoint, the schedule, and even with the playoffs, I think you can still have those walk-off moments, and Harrison Burton did this year anyway. Without it being the regular season finale, I just like the I'm a mush for Daytona. The longer you listen to this podcast, the longer and more you'll learn about how much I love that place and that whole town. Like if I, it's
It's a
my
racing
Disneyland.
town on the beach. Like
Yeah, it's my Disneyland. It's my happy place, like the whole thing. So I'm always
you were
partial to Daytona.
actually, hold on. Why didn't I bring this up? You were just there. Klon, you just got back from your honeymoon. How was that? What in the world am I doing? I
Well,
totally forgot.
you're good. I would, I probably wish we'd actually honeymooned in Daytona itself, but no, we were in Florida. I mean, we were close. Saw a lot of signs to make left turns instead of right turns to Daytona from where we were going. So, no, it was a blast. Got to see the Florida
You're the
Keys for a
only
couple days.
person ever who has said, I wish I was in Daytona Beach over the Florida Keys. There is
I hope I'm not the only one.
there's a small percentage of people that have said those words, and you
Oh
are
yeah,
a part of the very small percentage that has said that.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, tattooed on my forehead. It's probably the least surprising thing about me if you talk to me long enough. But I honestly yeah, the Keys were great. I had an amazing time. I think there's another thing. If I turned this into a travel show, I'll give you my tips all day. I do recommend going down there once, and you can't take the easy way out and fly into Key West. You got to drive in. You fly either into Miami or wherever else you want to, and actually make the drive down the Keys itself. Like truly, almost a
It's up
humbling
for everybody.
experience.
Do not fly into Miami, fly into Fort Lauderdale. It is about 30 minutes north of it, but you avoid all of the craziness of the Miami airport. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I honestly, we didn't fly. We didn't fly into Miami. We flew into Orlando. Had some other family stuff going on down there.
MCO?
So, yeah,
That's
the
right.
one and the only.
When I was in college, I lived like 15 minutes from MCO.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's. I've been to that airport more than many others, darn near more than the Minnesota ones.
It's a
Because
great airport.
just go
I
there a
like
lot.
MCO. You know,
Yeah.
fun fact about MCO. Okay, they say that the most used toilet on Earth is in MCO.
Well, I could imagine that. It'd be an airport of some sort, doesn't it?
It's in Terminal A because there was this guy. I watched a YouTube video on it. There was this guy who went to he looked up the most heavily trafficked areas for people, and
Yep.
Terminal A at MCO is like the most trafficked people
I believe it.
terminal that there is. And the first bathroom there, the first stall in the first bathroom, it's a mathematics thing. But the first stall in the first bathroom there in the A terminal is said to be the most used toilet on Earth. So
I believe it.
There you go. There you go. Fun fact.
We all learned something today, at least, because Lord knows I wasn't bringing anything to the table. But I will say, yeah, I would obviously 9 times out of 10 rather hang out in Daytona. The one thing with the Keys, you got to do it once, humbling experience, that whole thing. The one knock I'd have is it's not it's so built up and finished off now because of, I mean, it's been a town and a location for over a couple hundred years and a civilized area, but there's there's not much of a natural beach, or not as much as I would have expected, just the way the town's drawn up. It's like a road or a building on the coastline and then no beach really, besides a bunch, there's other areas and there's the resorts that have a few kind of thing, but
yeah, but I mean, even at the resorts, the beaches aren't really that big. I remember when I was a kid, we went down there, and we had our own private beach at our resort, and it was 30 feet long. And from the front of the beach to or I guess from the back of the beach to the water, so it's 30 feet wide, not long. But from the water to the gate to get toward the building was probably 15 feet. Wasn't much. So it was very small.
Yeah. And it's definitely probably changed over the years. Somebody will probably tell me I'm wrong from 1980 when they were there, but just my 2 cents is like a beach town is I like being able to wake up in the morning and just start walking almost essentially to the beach. Like I feel like that's if you go to enough places in Florida, that's the vibe in a few of them. But I don't know. I had a great time. Again, love that we went. It was an amazing place. Like really cool to see. Would I go every year? Like I would love to go to Daytona. No, simple fact. But there's that. Telling you, I'll give you trip advice all the time. You're all gonna hate it, but I'm gonna keep
I
going.
love Daytona just as much as the next guy. Like when I lived in Florida, that was our beach, dude. We go to Daytona. It was 45 minutes up the road. You hit Buc-ee's, and then you go to the big, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the big colorful, it's like yellow and pink parking garage by the bubblegum shrimp and all that stuff.
It's up by the ocean breeze or sea breeze resort or whatever.
Yes. You go there,
Telling
you park, you can walk right across. Like, it's a great area. I love Daytona Beach, but like, dude, the Keys is just like, it's a different animal, you know? Like, you got a 7-mile bridge.
It's a fact. Yeah, it is a different world, honestly, from the United States. And we even stayed a night in Miami this time too, but which is also
what'd you guys do in Miami?
A lot of places. Not much. Chilled on South Beach for a day and hit a couple places that night. We stayed in that South Beach area, I guess, across the causeway or whatever. But
yeah,
so that was cool. It was pretty chill. Fun to see all the neon lights of the old fashioned looking, old themed businesses and bars and restaurants and stuff. That was fun. So
yeah,
take you back a little bit and definitely something to experience again. Like you got to do it once, but not another place I'm running back to every year either. Like my heart lies in one area of Florida, and it's that central, east central, northeast central area.
Man, I'm with you. Like I love it too. I really do. That's me and Nikki talk about like that. Like that's like the area we want to end up in, but South Florida is where it's at, man. I love it. South Florida is just
and I can see why people would say that. I absolutely get it. Like there's definitely opportunity too to have that kind of experience, but I don't know. My heart lies with
me and Nikki have a secret.
There's
me and Nikki have a like secret hidden beach that we found on Google Maps one time. And we went down to it, and it's south of Miami. It's in Key Biscayne. And
wow.
I didn't know you guys were in the Miami area, or I would have told you to go to this place because it's cool. It's very cool.
Is it in the Everglades or is it not that far?
No, it's how would I explain it? It's so you know how 95 like goes straight down to the Keys, right?
Yep.
Pretty much. So once you get down to Miami, you break off once you get like to the end of the city. And instead of continuing, you hop off and there's like a toll road. You cross over to Key Biscayne. It's the
I saw a sign for this then. Yep.
You cross over there and you literally go to the bottom of Key Biscayne. And there's a beach there that's very cool. It is one of a kind. Next time you go down, I didn't know you were going to that area. Now I'm regretting not telling you because I should have told you. It's a great beach. Anyways, back to this is not a travel podcast. It's a NASCAR podcast.
It might be at this point.
It might do just a segment
every week at this point.
It might just be. We have got our award show section. Klon, are you ready for this? It's time to give some hardware out to some very deserving drivers who had a great year. I mean, ultimately, this was the most storyline-filled NASCAR season in a long time. I mean, I don't remember a NASCAR season with this many storylines.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
It was out there. But
in terms of just, off the wall type crap. Yeah, it's definitely been.
It was crazy. Christopher Bell at Martinsville, off the wall type crap.
Literally.
Okay, so let's start with our top 3 moments from the year. We're gonna go 3-3. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry about that. We're gonna go 3-3, 2-2, 1-1. Okay, you go first. What is your third best moment of the year?
This one's a little bit partial because I was there, kind of alluded to it earlier, and maybe a little unfair because it's such an obscure moment, really. But the finish to the Xfinity Series Chicago Street Race was one of the cooler races I think we've seen in recent memory in NASCAR, what we consider this modern day NASCAR. You had SVG around the world considered a great sports car, road course driver, especially in the New Zealand, Australia
Yeah,
world,
the
against
Kiwi.
Kyle Larson. And that's who we, consider one of the best stock car drivers, if not best stock car driver / race car driver in the world.
That's our guy.
It was truly such a fun matchup and such a weird place. I guess makes sense with SVG, but like Chicago of all places, you think you see a great battle. And I don't know, just thought that was very unique and something that in 2024 NASCAR should embrace quite a bit because that's probably more of what's to come.
Absolutely. Well, my number 3 is similar to yours, actually. It is an Xfinity race. It does involve Shane Van Gisbergen,
Dog.
and it was at a road course. My number 3 moment was at Sonoma during the Xfinity race when SVG is doing a burnout around
Heck yeah.
Austin Hill, and there was a photo taken of SVG burning it down, and Austin Hill has just got a particular finger held out the window at him
Love
as
that.
he comes by. And that is one of my favorite pictures in racing history. What a awesome picture.
It's one of the better. It's got to go. It's going to go down. As time goes, it'll go down. It's a great one.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome one. So big time fan of that. That's my number 3. So are we flipping now? Do I go 2 first?
We can do Snake. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, we're doing
It's a
Snake.
fun
Okay.
game. We can't copy each other. So if you take mine, I gotta do some digging.
Okay. Wow. Okay. You put the pressure on me here.
Dig deep.
Number 2. Caught between 2 here.
Okay.
And I've been going back and forth all day. But I'm finally going to just go with it. Ricky Stenhouse and those incredible shorts.
Nice.
He rears back and just pops Kyle Busch right in the face. The Kyle Busch-Ricky Stenhouse fight it's one of my favorite moments, I think, in NASCAR history. I mean, it was awesome.
Also great.
Because Ricky was stewing for 200 laps. And then you just see, I love the memes and everything that came from that, where you got like Bob Pockrass's face when everything was going down.
Yeah.
You have Ricky, you look over Kyle's shoulder. Excuse me. You look over Kyle's shoulder and you just see Ricky propped up, legs crossed in those short pink shorts.
Ricky's dad getting involved.
Ricky, yeah, get my dad.
So good. So good
Stuff.
We need more of that again. God, can you imagine when that race counts for points and we can actually get really pissed at each other? Oh, it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be great. North Wilkesboro. And that's the other thing. We were talking about the schedule earlier. North Wilkesboro is going to be a points race this year.
I think that, yeah, that's going to be probably my number 1 of 2025. But anyway,
let's go.
All
right.
Really.
Sorry. No, you're good. Go ahead. You're number 2.
Number 2, it's not really like a instant moment, just a flash point, but I think the Homestead Miami race, honestly, as a whole, is my number 2 moment. I just think
that was exactly what I was going back and forth on. I was going to say the Reddick finish.
I think it's just that race is peak NASCAR, or at least as close as we'll see in this day and age, and that's, I think, something for both NASCAR and the fans to be very optimistic about, is that still lives somewhere in this sport. And particularly, we can circle Homestead as a place we all want to watch a race now. So yeah, I just think that race as a whole was really a mood booster for me at the end of the year, that there's still racing left.
It was a great pick-me-up. It really was. And like the the finish was so outrageous. Tyler Reddick on the older tires, which should be a death sentence there. Yeah, please, NASCAR, if you're listening, can we please have that be our championship race again?
Let's race there 10 times a year, 15 times. I don't care. 20 if you want.
As many as you'd like. As many as you'd like. I'm here for it.
Every weekend.
I'm here for it. We could call it the NASCAR Homestead Series.
Yep.
Couldn't care less.
Go to Daytona twice a year on top of that and call it good. More fine.
You have a problem?
We could go to Daytona 3 times, maybe. Just add an extra one. Bring the Bud Shootout back and then do it 3 times. Yeah.
Yep. Miss the Bud Shootout for sure. But all right, we're snaking. So now you're up again for number 1. What's your number 1?
So I went back and forth about this too because it's, I don't know if it's considered best, like top, best, favorite. I think when we look back 10 years from now, just to really try and forecast this, but when we look back at the sport 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, this sounds crazy, but I think 2311 and Front Row's lawsuit is going to come back to be something that's great for the sport. One way or the other. Yeah. I don't know how I'm not even going to forecast how the lawsuit ends. I don't know if it matters. I just think that this is going to send a ripple effect big enough to create, not that the sport needs a major overhaul, but it just needs some tweaks. And I think this moment could bring that, hopefully, or at least open eyes to a future that could have that. I don't know. I just trying to be optimistic about all that. It's definitely the biggest news piece NASCAR has in the world right now, unfortunately, is that Michael Jordan's suing them. And I just hope that that's a positive instead of a negative somehow.
I totally agree. And it will be a positive. I regardless of whether if they win this or not, regardless of if the charter system changes or if they go with what they've got, regardless, this is putting eyes on the sport. Like put it plain and simple. At the end of the day, people care about Michael Jordan. There's a reason why when you think of shoes, the biggest brand in the world when it comes to basketball shoes, the most sought after shoes when it comes to fancy basketball shoes, it's Jay's. Like it's like there's that name means something to a lot of people, whether if you are a basketball fan, a Bulls fan, a Chicago sports fan, whether if you're just a sports fan or if you're into fashion or if you're like the name Michael Jordan covers so many avenues and people care about his name so much that him just simply being a team owner helps the sport so much. But this is huge. It's wildly important. It helps grow the sport. From their standpoint, again, I don't know the finite details of everything. From their standpoint, it grows the sport because it makes the charter system better. Like, regardless, even if they win, lose, or draw this case, it doesn't matter. If they settle, like whatever happens, I do think it turns out to be a good thing because it brings more eyes to the sport. People would care if a NFL team, whoever, the Cleveland Browns, were suing the National Football League. Maybe they wouldn't care if it's the Browns because the Browns suck. But if anybody, I don't know, like if the Yankees were suing the MLB, like it would matter to a lot of people. And that's what's going to be, I think, a good thing out of this is that it's going to draw more eyes to the sport and people are going to care because it's Michael Jordan. So, my number 1 moment, Kalon. Are you ready for this?
I'm excited.
Number 1 moment.
I'm
number 1 moment.
You got me off pace here. I'm not sure what direction you're going anymore, but
my number 1 moment of the year, man, was meeting you at the Twins game, dude.
Oh boy.
Let's go. We're going to get soft here, bro. I have always wanted to do a NASCAR podcast, and it's something that, like, I've been wildly passionate about this sport my entire life. I remember when I was a kid, all my friends hated NASCAR. Like, they messed with me about it. They always like, oh, you just left turns, like just all this stuff. I got, and I'm not saying like my friends are bullying me or anything. My friends are my boys, you know, but like, you know, your boys are, you know, they give you the elbow. Right. They give you the elbow, but it's like, man, I had nobody, no friends when it came to this sport. I had to, get Nikki into it and all these other people who have started watching it. But meeting you, we were able to do this. It's a passion project for both of us. It's something that we both always wanted to do. We've got it off the ground. We're doing great things. And season 1 in the books. It was a short one. We started it late in the season, but next year will be our first full season. And we're also going to do stuff during the off season too. It's not like, most NASCAR podcasts will go away. We're going to stay with you. Okay. We're going to be right here throughout the off season for you, the viewer, to watch. So we appreciate you guys as always. Real quick, before we head out, Klon, who is your way too early 2025 champion? I'm going to put this on mute and hack this frog out of my throat.
That sounds amazing for you, by the way. Hope that's going well. Hey, you survived. It wasn't that bad if it only took that long. I don't know. God, I want to go so many different directions because there's so many fun storylines to go with if one person or the other would be the champion. I have such a hard time because there's talk about if playoffs change and if they're not, and if they don't change, why would you pick anybody besides a Penske car? As I just got done saying, my brain says you take Ryan Blaney again until he doesn't win it, and you just keep picking him. But I'm gonna go even further down the speculation and prediction hole and say they're gonna make a change to the playoffs. I don't know what, just something. And I truly think the stars just align. Christopher Bell gets one next year. I'm just trying to be fun with the predictions. I think there's a world where they switch something up, something crazy happens. Give me Christopher Bell. I think he's good enough to do it anyway, but whatever that change is the difference. And I think he's champ.
I like that. I like that pick. That's a good pick. Honestly, you hit me out of left field there. I wasn't thinking C-Bell. I don't know why.
Trying to give NASCAR some sort of credit that they're going to make a change when we all want one, even though it never happens anyway. But yeah,
but hopefully we all know they're not going to do it. Gosh. Anyways, sorry. Yeah, you caught me out of left field there. See, that's what makes C-Bell so dangerous is he's so overlooked. I just did it. Like, once you said that, though, out loud, I thought, that's a good pick.
Love his attitude. Love his personality.
Yeah.
I think he's just a perfect guy for it.
He just shows up and races. He's all business. There's all business, no BS. That is the all business, no BS Bell. That's what we should call him. That is
pretty much.
That is what we should call him. That is what he's about. It is a very long it's a very long nickname. But man, again, great pick. I guess because they've had a lot of speed here at the end of the year. And I think that we saw a different driver in the final 5 races of the year. And I think like we talked about last week, I think he's finally getting it. That he's got to be dangerous. He's got to be, again, like we say, aggressive, but not obnoxious.
You would be the one to pick this guy.
You had to know. You had to know. Come on. I have a problem, and it's this guy. This guy is my problem. I love him. I love him so much. I have this one too.
Oh boy, that helps make you guess a little bit more. Yeah.
Here, let me give you one more try to guess at who you think could be my pick.
I've never wavered.
It's Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's my pick. You can call me a homer. You can call me a fanboy. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. Yeah, he's my pick. He's gonna win it next year. And you know what? When he comes out next year and he races the same way he does every year, I'm gonna switch it and I'm gonna say Denny Hamlin. And then when it comes playoff time, and Denny gets eliminated, I'm going to say it's Chase again. And then once Chase gets eliminated, I'm going to say it's RB. It's this vicious cycle that I live in. And it's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. So
God.
there you go. There you go.
I think we need an off season ourselves at this point. We need a break. We can't do this anymore.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well, holy cow, man. 2024 season in the books. In the books. It's gone. It is
Unreal.
the 24 to 24 season is in the past. Like the next time we go racing, we'll be at Daytona, and it will be the 2025 season. God, we're getting old.
There's that. Yeah, that number keeps going up, but
it does.
Yeah,
but
fun year.
Yeah, overall. Fun year. Great season. A lot of fun. What would you give it? What would you give it out of 10? What would you give it out of 10?
Oh, not as bad as people would probably guess. Probably like a mid B, probably a B flat. I don't know, maybe B minus on the wrong day. Yeah, maybe a B minus on the wrong day. Just the next gen knocks it down a grade point. Maybe a C plus.
What would you give the next gen out of 10?
D minus. It's not good. It's pretty much a failure, but we can't declare that yet. So we're right on the board.
It's too good at the mile and a half.
If Homestead wouldn't have happened, the thing's an F minus for sure. If Homestead wouldn't have happened, we're talking one race.
Saved it. It saved it.
But yep, if D minus is saving you, we got bigger problems. But it's not good. If this thing comes out and races the exact same in Daytona in February,
you know it will. You know it will. Stop it. You know.
Since literally its first race in 2022 at Daytona, the same problems we've talked about for 3 full seasons. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
You know that the second the green flag drops at Daytona, they're going to do their 4-wide pack or 3-wide pack racing where nobody moves, and it's going to sit like that all day, and that's just how it goes. That is just how it goes. You have to know that that's what's coming here. There's nothing we can do about it. We just got to accept it and move on.
All right, we need the off season. Let me forget about that for 3 months. Let me be excited about Daytona and forget that's what probably will happen. I have to be excited.
Oh, boy. Well, great season. Great episode. I don't know what our off season is going to look like. We'll work out all those details. I don't know if we'll do what?
We'll record some stuff. Oh, yeah.
For sure. For sure. I just don't know if we're going to do like still weekly or every other weekly, or I don't know, whatever. We'll figure all that out. We'll throw it all on here. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to the Speeding in the Pits podcast. As always, leave a like and a subscribe. As our great friend Austin Schindler said, as our great friend Austin Schindler said, no, as our great Austin Schindler said, if you like left turns and fast cars, you're in the right place. So
that's right.
We appreciate everybody for tuning in for us to talk about left turns and fast cars. We hope you stick with us here through the off season. We'll give you any information you need as we go along, and can't wait for the Netflix documentary to come out. That's what we got to look forward to at this point. There's that. That's coming this off season, and before we know it, man, we're going to be qualifying at Daytona.
I'm going to the Chili Bowl, so keep your eyes peeled on the
Are you really? Yeah. Real quick before we go, Kyle Busch is running in the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, saw that tonight too before we recorded. So my brother and
You're going to the Chili Bowl? That's so sick.
Yeah, we locked that in here a few weeks ago. A little group of us are going, but yeah, pretty pumped. So I'll be down there. Hopefully, if anybody's watching or listening to this and they're going to be down there, hope to see you there. But yeah, pretty pumped about that, especially with I want more guys like Kyle Busch to keep signing up. So Chase, Ryan, all you guys that had nothing going on in January, we'd love to see you down there. It'd be fun.
Yeah, Kyle Larson will probably go, you think?
He was pretty adamant to not do it anymore until they upped the purse, and it doesn't sound like they upped the purse a whole lot from what it used to be. So I wouldn't expect to see him there. But
Forgot about that.
I mean, hey, like I said, Kyle, if you're bored January, you're good at it. Come hang out. But
yeah, what if we get everybody in the crowd to throw in an extra $10?
I don't think they'll do it. It's not that big of
No.
a place.
No,
I don't think so.
Never mind.
Need to make the Tulsa Civic Center that place called a little bit bigger.
Oh boy. Okay. What a great season. I don't even know at this point. I really don't. Thanks for tuning in to the Speed of the Pits.
Thank you everybody for starting with us. Hopefully you stick with us, and we'll get back to a full season next year.
Absolutely. We will see you then. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe as always. Klon needs it, man. He hates this next gen car. So we'll see you guys soon. I'm not sure what the offseason will look like, but we'll be here. We'll still be active. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to the Speeding in the Pits podcast. We will see you next time.